my thing. Like some of the guys, especially the punks of the world, they lie, they're hypocrites, they try to say the right thing. All I've ever done is tell the truth. And sometimes people don't like it and they say, you're the bad guy now, and I tell them, how am I the bad guy? And once they give me their opinion, I explain my opinion, it suddenly sways them. I've always said, my degree's in criminology. I actually went to college, unlike punk. So my degree's in criminology. And in the criminal justice system, all you have to do to prove somebody's guilty beyond reasonable doubt is, present your evidence. The jury look at it, they go, okay, he's guilty beyond reasonable doubt. If you take 10 minutes, go on the internet, look down character testimonies about me. I've always been known as a nice guy, working hard, give everything to this industry. Then character testimonies and stories about Punk. It's not a case of he's guilty beyond reasonable doubt and I'm right and I'm telling the truth. He should be getting the chair. There's so much evidence against him. I'm a lie. Stop me when I'm telling lies.
I'm not going to stop you. I'm not going to stop you. Go ahead, Dave.
When you're not having big-time matches, over the past year, like you said, you've been telling the truth. You go out on television, you get on the microphone, and you've, I think, floored a lot of people with the truth-telling that you've done out there. What's the mental headspace like when you go out with a microphone in your hand compared to the way you go out for a big match?
Pretty similar. I'm excited. I still get butterflies. I think I'll always get those. The day I stop getting butterflies or nervous energy is the day I retire. But it depends on the situation as well. These days if I've got, the mic in my hand, I know a rough idea of what's going to be said. I know what story we're trying to tell, but at the same time, I'm going to say whatever comes to me. And sometimes what I do in the match, move-wise, is not going to get me a slap in the wrist, but sometimes the things that come out my mouth during interviews are what happened and what felt natural in the moment. And a lot of the time, my go-to is kind of sick sense of humor or saying something outrageous, but I'm willing to get the slap on the wrist. I think one time I was giving a speech, I was sitting cross-legged, telling the cameraman not to shoot up my kilt because they're pervs and they'll do that. And I was talking about my complex relationship with professional wrestling because I've had such a unique career with the ups and downs, and it just came in my head. And when things come in my head these days, I just say them. And I believe I said, most of you fans, whoever arena I was in, wouldn't understand that because the most complex relationship you've ever had is with your right hand, which is true. And then as soon as I got back, my wrist was slapped, but that's how I operate.
Yeah, I don't think you said
on TV. Dude, Netflix is coming.
Netflix in 2025.
I'm the first one to say the C word.
You said on our show, just not in front of the kids. Not in front of the kids. Yeah. Drew, earlier this year, you were, there was, I don't know how accurate the reporting was, but free agency.
Was it on the internet?
It was on the internet, so you know it was true.
It's gotta be true.
But you had a choice, right? Like free agency was coming up. You decided to resign. And when you resigned, you posted a video on Instagram with a special gift from The Rock. And talk to me about what that gift meant to you once you signed the contract, remained in WWE, and the connection that you and The Rock had when he gave you that very special gift.
Yeah, I mean, that whole time period is so surreal. I've talked about it publicly, so I'm not saying anything I haven't spoke about before, but there was a time where I was planning to take a break from WWE. I've never had a vacation in my life. Unlike Punk, I didn't take 9 years off. I've never had time off. I was signed to WWE from university when I was 21 years old, was debuting on TV when I was 22, got fired at 28, was busier than I've ever been for 3 years in the independents, came back to the company, and then that's when I started rising up the ranks. And unfortunately, a year and a half ago, my wife lost her sister, and that was the time where I said, you know what, I got to take some time off for the first time ever, not just for me, but for my family, and can I be present? And I knew that months and months in advance of the contract, and I was like, no matter what, I got to take this time off. And as time passed, time heals wounds. It's never the same, but they started dealing with things a little better. Things on TV started kicking off, and the character got so hot. We had a conversation as a family, and my wife basically said, you can't leave the table when you're on a heater. So we've got to figure this out. And Triple H and Nick Khan were awesome, making sure the contract and my future worked not just for the company, but for my family. And then to figure it out with them, then cap it off with The Rock, sending one of my claymores, which will be displayed on my office wall with a nice note. And he's been so awesome with advice, and being there, when I need him was just so surreal, because it was 10 years from basically the day when I re-signed that I got fired. And to think about that 10 years of, hey, like, you have to leave home now, bugger off. Go either find yourself or leave wrestling. And to know the work I put in, and 10 years later, I'm able to negotiate with the top guys in WWE, Nick Khan, Triple H, for the best deal for everybody. The Rock's end, the sword is so surreal. And I tell everyone out there, I'm always, especially kids, when it comes to chasing your dreams and the likes, I'm from a small town in Scotland. Like, nobody was ever signed directly from Scotland to WWE at the time, and I said I was going to do it. People said, you're freaking crazy, it's an American thing, there's 5 million people, why are you the one that's going to do it? And I was relentless, and I also stuck in at school, and I tell the kids, stick in at school, get your education, but chase those dreams with the blinders on. Don't listen to the negativity, just keep pushing forward. You'll achieve them. So I've achieved them, then I've lost them, had to find myself and re-achieve them, and after getting fired 10 years later, get the contract, get the gift from The Rock. You really can make your dreams come true again and again and again. So whatever it is, it's never too late, not just the kids out there. Going on turn, and be accountable to the person in the mirror. And as much as it's funny for me to say, don't listen to the negativity on social media. It's not real, but if you come for me, I'll rip you to fucking shreds on there.
Listen, yes, your relentlessness is on the record. I mean, the way that you've made your comeback and transformed yourself into the wrestler you are today, it's shocking. But looking back, is there any part of yourself that you could imagine what you would have been doing if it weren't being a WWE superstar?
No. I was always going to be a wrestler no matter what. I mean, if I wasn't in WWE, I'd be wrestling at an independent level. I went to school because they basically gave me, I went to further my education and finished, and my dad really wanted that, but they also gave me a student loan, which I used for supplements to feed my wrestling habit. As I was getting my education, no matter what, it was going to be wrestling. And my degrees in criminology, I was interested in some weird stuff when I was a kid, maybe some kind of special agent, but it would be wrestler no matter what. And yeah, I'm very lucky just the way things have worked out, and it's been a wild 24 years I've been wrestling now, but everyone's always shocked to find out I'm still in my 30s, by the way. Everyone always says that guys like you and AJ and Sheamus loves when I mention how old he is. And I have to remind them, hey, those guys are mid-40s, still in 30s over here, so still plenty of years of Drew McIntyre to go.
Drew, you're the greatest wrestler to come out of Scotland in history. So, with that being said, I have one question for you.
And the UK. I'm the only British champion ever, brother.
But it's a very specific question. Do you believe in Joe Hendry?
I do believe in Joe Hendry. I've known Joe forever. It's amazing just to see him catch on now, and people are like, oh, that new wrestler, Joe Hendry, he's cool. He's not a new wrestler. He's put in his time. He's paid his dues, and it's awesome to see hard work actually paying off, and he deserves all the success that he gets. He made a video about me years ago. If you look up I'm Drew to the tune of I'm Blue, it's on social media. Like, he made a song about me, and he deserves that success. He's earned the right to get what he's getting right now. It's not like he took 9 years off, came back, and tried to leapfrog the whole roster to get main event of WrestleMania. Like I was gonna let that happen.
You are really a hater. I just want to let you know.
Truth teller.
You're a truth teller. Whatever. You're a truth teller, hater. Any case, Seth Rollins. You had a World Heavyweight Championship match. Yeah, make noise for Seth Rollins. Come on. When you say you're a truth teller, I think that rivalry probably speaks the most to it, right? Because even though you both had goals of being World Heavyweight Champion and leading the company, you both kind of are cut from the same cloth. And when you were having the rivalry with Punk, you kind of let him know that. It's like, yo, this guy's not like us. He wants to ruin this entire industry and put it in his honor and messed up the great thing that we sort of built. So talk to me about your relationship with Seth Rollins. I mean, you had a match at WrestleMania. Obviously, it was great, and then it wasn't great afterwards. But before all that, your careers have been on a similar parallel sort of path, especially in the last like 3 or 4 years. So talk to me about your relationship with Seth Rollins and how that's sort of grown as rivals and as co-workers.
I mean, personally, it can get a little bit tense at times. But as I said on TV to his face, and I mean it, you know, our rivalry is based, you know, in a professional setting. We just both want to be the best. We believe we are the best, and you know, iron sharpens iron. We get together, we push each other to have the best match possible, the best interview possible, whatever the situation is. And sometimes I can push those buttons a little hard, especially socially, but I love when I get people upset and I piss people off. That's when I get the best results out of people, because I know I operate the best when I'm angry, and Seth's pretty easy to press those buttons, and when he gets angry, that's when he's at his absolute best. So I'm willing to push those buttons to get the best result for the fans, but he is one of the best in the world, one of the best I've ever been in the ring with, one of my top rivals, and a genuine professional wrestler.
You say he's one of the best you've been in the ring with. In the not too distant past, you've had some incredible opponents. You mentioned Sheamus, of course there's Gunther, CM Punk, who you wrestled recently. Two questions. One, do you have a favorite opponent? And two, maybe it's the same answer, but do you have a favorite match that if you had to just show somebody who you were, what match would you show them?
I mean, there's a lot of matches. I don't know what I would go to first. If I had to show somebody something, generally, you know, I love, you know, I mentioned Seth already, you know, Roman and I have such great chemistry. He's my kryptonite, I guess. I still haven't beat him after all these years. I'm still working on that one. I had to go with somebody to show a new WWE fan. It'd probably be Sheamus, just because of the level of physicality we bring to the matches. Like, I'm not joking when I say I've been in no fight in a bar or real fight I've ever been in my life comes close to what Sheamus and I do to each other in a professional wrestling match when it comes to the violence and physicality. Like, we're buddies, we go way back. I always make the joke, which is not really a joke, we met when I was 19 and he was 43 at the time. You know, we've always had a big brother, little brother relationship, signed to WWE the same day, went through the ups and downs of our careers and lives together. But when we get in there, it's, okay, there's a dad out there perhaps, who's got his family here, he's paid a lot of money, he's a preconception about our industry. But after our match, he's going to question what he thinks. He's going to go tell the guys at the water cooler or work, my God, whatever you think about wrestling, I saw Drew and Sheamus wrestling last night. And they were hitting each other, and marks were appearing, and blood was appearing. And then they're going to tell somebody, and suddenly we've got some new fans, and that's how we operate. We batter each other, we have drinks together, and we've got thick skin, and we have a laugh. And that's how this industry should be, that's how life should be, is just enjoy it, have the laugh. And then just, I mean, if you're Punk, you're not going to have some drinks. Have some drinks, have yourself a laugh, because none of us get out alive. Life's short, so just have fun when you're at it.
We've been talking to a lot of the WWE stars that have come here, and obviously Fanatics Fest is incredible, representing sports and entertainment all over the world. But make no mistake about it, WWE is booming right now. Like, I don't think it's ever been as popping as it has been, as it is right now. And there's a lot of things that people equate that to, but I think one thing people aren't really talking about is the time in the pandemic, when everything shut down, when everything went down the tubes, nothing was on TV, WWE was there, and you were its champion. And a lot of your gripes leading into WrestleMania was not being able to win in front of this crowd. And granted, I still know you want to do that, but is there anything is there any solace you can take in being the world champion in the most pivotal time in entertainment when nothing was going on? And especially this being the catalyst to the boom period we see right now?
Yeah, I mean, it's not what I dreamed of when I was a kid, obviously. I didn't sit there in Scotland fantasizing and one day I'm going to main event WrestleMania and win the world title and nobody's going to be there. But it was just a necessity for the time. It was a scary time for the world. It was an unknown time for the world. Everything's shutting down. All the sports entertainment companies shutting down. We're being told to stay inside. We're hearing about, all this sickness and death around us. And we decided as a company to push forward and be that escape for everybody. And I got given the responsibility of, carrying the ball. And everything rolls downhill. I always say it wasn't me. It was a team effort. All of us together, on camera and behind the camera, gave everyone that escape during that time, and I'm very proud of everything I was able to do as champion. I've met so many people that have told me that WWE literally saved their lives because it gave them that constant every single week during such an uncertain time. So I'm always so proud of what we did, not just what I did. But at the same time, I wanted that moment with the fans. I wanted to finally have my Wrestlemania moment, and I had it this past year. And even though what happened, when I won that title and I had that moment with Seth and that moment with the fans chanting, you deserve it, and getting down on my knee, presenting the title to my wife. And she's been such a big part of the journey, the reason I'm the man I am today. And hugging my brother, who was my first tag team partner. Before the shenanigans happened, Punk and the Cash and the likes, that was all very real, it was all very cool, and I'll get it back and have a real moment. But to see where the company has come, not just since then, since I joined in 2007, you just think WWE can't get any bigger. When I first came here, I was like, this is the biggest thing I've ever seen. What a machine. We travel the world, thousands of people, millions of people watching across the world. And then comes the network, and then you fast forward a few more years, we're on Peacock. You fast forward a couple more years, we're running multiple stadium shows a year, not just WrestleMania. The $1 billion man, Nick Khan, is cutting these $1 billion deals left and right, $1 billion with a B, and we're selling out absolutely all over the place, all over the world. It is such an exciting time. I can't believe how hot wrestling is. I can't walk down the street anymore without somebody, recognizing me from wrestling, and not just, hey, you're a football player or something. It's always, oh, you're Drew McIntyre from WWE. It just shows just how big we've gotten now, and it's just going to keep getting bigger. It's wild. Once this Netflix thing starts, my life's over.
The C words, unbelievable C words.
Oh yeah, Rhea and I are kind of fighting it out. If anybody's watching, The Boys, the Butcher is kind of easing the C word into American culture. Is very, very harsh over here. It's actually a term of endearment in Scotland and a term of endearment in Australia. So Rhea and I are fighting out who gets to say it first.
Hey, listen.
Maybe say it together as a cold open.
Yeah, maybe, maybe you'll share the heat. You'll share the heat about it.
And yet, you said you had your moment at WrestleMania this year, and what happened. One thing you hear a lot when you talk to wrestling fans is, after the pandemic, after your title reign, you deserve a run with the title in front of the crowds, and at defending at WrestleMania. Well, you can feel free to applaud. How meaningful is that idea to you? How meaningful would it be to have a real run as champion for an extended period of time?
I mean, it's going to happen, and I appreciate all the fans, especially my fans, who have stuck with me through this entire journey. To say you deserve it, or perhaps more appropriately, you've earned it. But in our industry, unfortunately, you don't just get participation prizes. It's all about timing and what makes the most sense story-wise. There's been a couple of times where I've went, clearly this makes the most sense. Why am I not winning on this moment, on this night, for this title? But then I also think about where I am now, and if I'd won those titles or had those moments that I thought I clearly should be having this moment on this night, then the story we're in right now wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't make as much sense. And everything happens for a reason. I used to hear all the time, trust the process, and sometimes when you're in the crap part, you're like, screw the process, it's BS. But truly now, we are long-term storytellers. It is 52 weeks a year. We're finally taking the time to treat it the way it should always have been treated. Developing these deep layered characters, because we have plenty of time to do it. Deep layered storylines involving multiple people. Like you look at any other TV show, they've got 10, 12 episodes, whatever, to develop these characters. You get so invested. We have unlimited time, and finally we're taking that time. And I would say if I got the title before now, perhaps it wouldn't have been as an interesting story, but eventually I have to get that freaking title, and I will get that title, and it's gonna mean the world, because I'm basically on the campaign trail, it feels like right now, as much as people are behind me, and sometimes I'll face somebody that they like a Jey Uso or a Punk or Seth, and then I have to kind of fight my case about why I feel the way I feel, that I kind of win some people back over, but my true fans stay with me no matter what. They understand no matter what, they look at the facts no matter what, and that's why you've got to watch our show closely, because then you'll understand the story and the minor details to the story. All the big details, when Jey Uso showed up, the reason I acted the way I acted was simple trauma, PTSD. His family had ruined my life. They're like, come on, Drew, just get over it. Like, get over it. I had a match in the UK with Roman Reigns where I was going to win the title. Finally, after all these years, these ups and downs, my family are all there in the UK. I'm going to present my dad the title. I'm sorry I wasn't there. I'm sorry I missed all these family events, birthdays, Christmases, wasn't there for sicknesses, deaths. This is going to be our moment. And Jay wasn't there on the night because I took them out, and the elders sent solo. But if you're guilty of 1,000 crimes, you're not there on the one night because I took you out. Does that make you innocent? I'm like, but Drew, he does the yeet thing and he says weird words and we like him and he's kind of cool, just forgive him. So that's how trauma and PTSD works. And it's fun to do, but it doesn't take away the PTSD. I'm suffering over here, so you got to understand my side as well. And it's very fun that we can explore like these human emotions now. It's not black and white, it's not good guy and bad guy. It's not just shades of grey, it's genuine human emotions and how we act as people. And sometimes I might overreact, but then I remind people they did this to your family, or a certain person treated you this way when you were younger, like a CM Punk, and you were WWE and you looked like me and you were as big and bad as me. Wouldn't you kick their ass? Yes, you would.
Let's talk a little bit outside of the ring. Dabbling in some movies now. Just had a quick role with another former WWE star and legend, Drax the Destroyer, better known as Batista in the WWE world. Talk to me about how that came about and our movies, something that you want to continue to pursue as you continue this incredible WWE career.
I mean, it's not something I really thought much about. Like, I've always just wanted to wrestle and hopefully be fortunate enough to do it as long as possible to kind of secure retirement, where I was able to say I made my money since I was 15 just wrestling. But the opportunity came up to be part of Dave's movie, The Killer's Game, which is coming out in September, by the way. It's coming out next month. It's bizarre to see myself on a poster in the movie theaters now. And Dave called me himself, and he basically told me the premise of the movie. You know, it's very John Wick-like, but more, comedic elements involved, and all the hitmen and hitwomen in it are just unbelievable. Dave is a hitman himself. He believes, he's got terminal illness, turns out. May not be true, and a lot of people are coming after him, a lot of bad people. This might be one of the bad people, and they were looking for a character, a couple of Scottish brothers. JJ Perry, the director, had this vision. And he said to Dave, like, I have one, I just need somebody that's, big enough and imposing enough that he could beat you up. He kind of looks the part in a way you'd expect from a Scottish person. And I'm going to kind of perhaps use some of the Scottish slang, so we have some fun slang in Scotland, and perhaps be like unintelligible while he's talking at times. And if anybody's talked to me in real life, I enunciate more when I'm on the microphone, but in real life, I'm a mumbler, I talk quiet, I talk kind of fast, I've got the Scottish accent, and Dave went, I know that guy, he exists in real life. So he called me up, we had a chat, WWE were cool with it, it was a lot of fun, and yeah, we may see more in the future. I'm always pitching to people, if you want to redo, Braveheart 2, I know zombies are still the rage right now, they're still an in thing. At the end of Braveheart, William Wallace obviously gets hung, drawn, and quartered. If they could, do a movie where they get Wallace's body parts and kind of put them back together, and He comes back as Zombie Wallace and wreaks havoc on the English. Braveheart 2, The Rise of Wallace. I'll be Wallace.
You can pull it off.
I'll be Zombie Wallace.
You look like the dude from The Boys too, right? Like,
oh yeah, I get that a lot.
Get that a lot for sure. I can see it for sure.
Yeah, I've been censoring myself. I'm doing pretty well. How many swears for the swear jar? I think I'm doing pretty well so far. No C words.
Let's bring this back around to your friend CM Punk. When Punk made his return to WWE, people were floating all kinds of matches they want to see him in, just like we do with every wrestler. But Punk Drew McIntyre wasn't necessarily at the top of anybody's bingo card because there wasn't a lot of history there that people knew about, and that what did you feel motivated, personally offended by his return, that you really had to get involved with him? Was that what do you think really drove you into this adversarial relationship you have with CM Punk?
I mean, I knew there was a story there because it's real. And what I care about now is tapping into things that are real, because if it's real to us, then it's real to the fans. And I'm willing to go all the way when it comes to story, because a lot of it's real life. I didn't like the fact he came back in November and was talking about main event in WrestleMania and was getting into the Rumble, and I was, wait a minute, this guy is, years ago had an issue with people coming back and leapfrogging our full-time talent and just kind of taking their spots. He's going to do the same thing. And the personal issue over here, so in the Rumble I targeted him and I roughed him up a little bit. I didn't expect he was so fragile. I'd heard that he was made of real glass, but turns out it's true. I barely tried and I tore his tricep. And then that evolved into, the stories evolved into, which is basically, here's some time to talk, Drew, just do with it what you will. And I had a chance to show the world there's something here, because there was something here, and sometimes us, the talent, can see a story before anybody else. It's happened a few times, this guy's coming back, maybe this match, or this match, or this match. And, sometimes my name's not in there, and I'm just like, man, if I get the chance, I'm going to show them. And there's another one I've seen, like Cena's coming back for his year-long return, which is going to be awesome. I don't know if I'm figured in the plans, but I guarantee I'll be pushing and I'll be nudging them left and right to make it happen, because the amount of stories I've got about Punk and things that happened when I was younger, I'll get tenfold on him. There's never been a one-on-one match. And if I have to drive management crazy, I'll drive them crazy, drive John crazy. I'm going to get that match. And I'll tear them apart on the microphone, which not many people can do, in the ring, and send them packing in a happy retirement, and hopefully Punk along with them.
Drew, we're about to wrap up in a little bit, but I asked our guest yesterday the same last question. I'm going to ask you the same last question. Obviously, still got a lot of wrestling in you left for the next several years, but when that day comes and you hang up the boots, put up the trunks, put the Claymore down and retire from wrestling, what do you want fans, people who supported you or didn't support you, to know about Drew McIntyre?
I guess, kind of looking at my career to this point, be it when I was fired and the independent scene was on the rise and it kind of needed a face, and I had that chance to be, the face for a while, and then obviously, Cody came around and kind of did his thing, but I was the first one to become a verb, to do a Drew, to succeed out with the company and grow business, and to see the business outside of WWE go from, in Scotland alone, from like 1,000 people at the biggest show to 2,000 people to 4,000 people to 7,000 people, and really help make a difference to professional wrestling outside the company, which again led to Cody the Bucks, formation of another company, and the success and health of our business now. And then the pandemic, when we needed someone to step up, and I was given the ball, was able to step up. So I guess if you remember me for anything, it's if when wrestling needed someone to step up, old Drew McIntyre stepped up.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for the Scottish Warrior.